Coming at you from a couple of stools in the low-class studios, this is a feminist and a comedian walk into a bar. What's up, guys?
Whoop, whoop.
Oh, I have like a burp bubble right in my... There it goes. It's out of there.
You didn't even make a noise.
I know. Well, that's why I paused, because it was like traversing through my esophagus. Anyway, hey guys, it's me.
Hi.
Jackie Manti. I am your host this evening. I am a feminist, and I'm sipping on some coffee with milk because we are about to leave town, so we didn't like stock up the fridge with anything delicious. And I'm trying to get through that milk so it doesn't go bad before we leave. But with me as always, Justin Golak. Are you drinking anything more fun?
No,
He's a comedian.
I'm sipping on, it sounds like I'm drinking. I'm sipping on water that is actually, I think I'm out of water. So I'm sipping on nothing.
You can sip on my backwash.
I think this will still be a good sode, but like this part of it will be,
let's just move on. We're super boring. Sorry, guys.
Basically, so like Jackie said, like we're going out of town for a wedding this weekend coming up. So we usually record on the weekend. So as you can even tell just by that verbiage, we're recording early because we'll be out of town. And so this way you can still get your FemComPod on Monday per schedule.
We're just thinking of you guys.
But as such, I have a show to get to tonight, and I have packing to do, and I have some other creative stuff to finish up. Jackie has some work to finish up and some packing to do too. So I can't get hammered. We can't stock the fridge with tasty drinks for Jackie. So we're doing water and coffee / nothing. So sorry that you didn't get your usual fun drink segment, but we're coming with the standard heat for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, we got some fun topics today. I'm excited for weddings. We haven't been to many weddings this
we're
year.
Old. All our friends are married. Yeah.
All our friends are dead. Oh, you guys, you can
at least we'll get dressed up to go to funerals.
That's true. We're going to have like funeral gear.
Yeah, it's still another fun couple date to go to.
I need some budget money. I got to get my black outfits.
I got a cool funeral
We're going to
outfit.
look so fly at funerals.
I do a black suit with like a gray shirt, black knit tie.
You're going to get all the funeral gals.
It's fly as fuck. Just because it's a funeral doesn't mean you can't look good.
I agree with you.
So
I think it's respectful to the person who has passed.
Yeah, if you look fucking basic as shit at my funeral, don't even fucking come.
I think people were not coming anyway.
Fair. I'm not in the position to alienate people from coming to my funeral. It's gonna be gonna be low attended without that. So
I'll get some flowers and say they're from people.
Oh, you'll be dead already.
Oh, you think I'm gonna die first?
No, it'll be me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're pretty neck and neck for mental disorders that could kill us.
I think I have better genes slightly, and also you have that weird thing like people always talk about like living in the city and all the smog and all that stuff, but you lived in the country for a while, which I think is worse. You get that fertilizer runoff. Who knows what weird fucking pesticide cancer you got brewing in your belly right now. So
well, my high school, they had to build a new one my senior year because it was like cancer causing. They built it on top of an old dump site, the old one.
Yeah. So who knows? This world's a big dice roll. So I feel like it could be either of us. But I feel like if you look at just like like burrito intake, like you definitely put the odds on favor of me dying first. But like I said, there's always those little factors about you smoked for a while, you went to high school on a dump site. So things like that. I feel like it seems like how many, you have two grandparents, like your mom's or your dad's grandparents are both dead.
Yeah.
Do you know how old they were?
Yeah, they were 80s, 90s. They were old.
Okay. So that's why I think our genes
80s.
might be negligible. There might be like a negligible difference in terms of that.
What do you mean? What does negligible mean?
Like
they cancel each other out?
Negligible meaning like there's not a big difference, right? Am I using that correctly?
Oh, I don't know.
There's a negligible difference.
I feel like that's a word that I've used before, but I don't really know what it means.
Now?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So small or unimportant as to not be worth considering.
So I think there's a negligible difference in genes. You don't have a lot of relatives dying young of like diseases or anything.
No.
Okay, heart disease or diabetes. Well, so I don't know. Keep tuning in to the podcast. See who dies first. Long-term plug.
Totally. You guys can check out all of our past episodes where we have drank cool drinks and talked about things other than our dying. You can see those at FemComPod.com and check out all the good stuff at lowclass.com. That's lo-class.com. And if you want, we're sure you're already subscribed to everything on your podcast platforms, but if you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/
LO class no
dash. And you can be a supporter. We've been doing some bonus content for our Patreons. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. One person, all of them.
I think we got two or three.
You guys fucking rock.
Don't say that. Doesn't make the push better.
No, I wanted to be especially thankful if it was only one person. But
good judo flip.
Yeah, dude. But $1 a month, you guys help support us, and you get bonus content.
I think we got 2 more scheduled at minimum for the rest of 2018.
Yeah.
So we don't know what they'll be yet, but they've been fun so far. I've liked doing them. So.
I know, I like doing them too. All right, let's get into it. Topic 1.
Cool.
November.
Lowclass.com, did you mention that?
Yeah.
That's the big one.
I did.
Okay. I kind of zoned out for a second.
I know. I saw you.
All right,
topic he 1. Needs a nap.
I am getting a little sleepy.
Okay, so it's almost November 6th, the midterms.
Is that when they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chicago. What's going on in Chicago? We're voting for a new governor.
Well, Illinois.
Well, Illinois, yeah. Do you know any big Chicago things that are coming up?
No, I don't know. Probably an alderman.
A mayor?
Something. Yeah.
Or no, we're not. We're not electing mayor.
No,
that's next year,
I think.
We're just talking about it.
Ram said he's stepping down at the end of his term.
I just wondering if you're voting. That was sort of my question.
I don't know. I'd say 75% chance no.
Yeah.
Feel like, I think in our district, I think if there's any blue Congress people up, Senate or House, they're probably going to get in. And this governor race just makes me sick to my stomach of how awful the choice is.
Mm-hmm,
Bruce Rauner, who's just the worst of just the Midwest, tear down establishments so fucking awful billionaires can make more money. Republicans, like your Scott Walker in Wisconsin, he's one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Except even worse in Illinois. He can't, it's even worse because even though that legislation is dog shit, at least I don't know, it's just we don't have a budget because there's it's a Democratic state Senate and he's a Republican governor and they can't pass anything. We haven't had a budget in 700 and some days and counting. We're not. That's the answer. We're not. It's not. They literally have to pass individual bills for each spending expenditure.
Oh, fuck.
So it's okay, we need to fix this street there. We need to for literally everything. All those news stories, lottery winners not getting paid out and stuff like that. And you got J.B. Pritzker, who's just basically the fattest, dumbest child of the Pritzker criminal organization in Chicago.
I don't know about his family.
They're just billionaires that basically bust unions and do other sorts of just shady Chicago-ass shit.
Liberal shit.
So you know what I mean? So they're just evil billionaires, but then he just throws his jowls on TV, and it's I like black people and women.
It's not his jowls, Justin. It's his vests. His vests are what.
That's what I tweeted out. I was I feel like his campaign manager was just all right, let's just bombard them with commercials of him in a vest, and then maybe they'll forget he's part of a criminal family.
Yeah, nothing says gentle spirit looking out for me quite like a puffer vest.
I'm not saying I need some kind of fucking. I'm not saying I need a fucking steel worker and a Che Guevara hat and fucking
it's
just
not that he's rich,
muted green clothes. I just how many more times does the Democratic candidate have to be a billionaire from a billionaire family who has a history of owning companies that bust unions and do all this other fucked up shit?
Right.
How many times is that the Democratic candidate? You know what I mean? How many times are you going to parade out and tell me to choose someone and vote? And, well, he's not as bad as, but how many fucking times? I'm just so fucking sick of it.
Yeah, the reason I want to talk about it, not so much the topics at hand, but we've talked before about why you don't vote, and people get very mad at you about it. People talk to me about it, trying to convince me to convince you. And I'm like, this is why he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
But so I just
How
wonder.
many
I
times
wondered.
has something good been sold to you this hard? You know what I mean?
Sure, but I just wondered if you like. The reason I brought it up is we hadn't talked about it probably since the 2016 election. So I just wondered if sort of you had changed, if you felt any more urgent.
The
about
last
it
two
since
things
then.
I voted in was the Democratic presidential primary, voted for Bernie Sanders, and the I voted in the primary for governor because I voted on the thing for marijuana, which was like a referendum. It wasn't even like a law, but I voted for that, and I can't remember who I even voted for to be honest. I just remember I remember asking a couple people and reading a couple things, and I picked like the most sensible, but also very liberal, but also had a chance percentage-wise of beating Pritzker, Democrat, in the primary, and he did not, or she, I don't even remember. It was the one that everyone was pushing for and did not get it, because there was one that was like kind of close to toppling him, but didn't. And dude, we talked about this. I think it was like last episode, right? Like that's the only thing to vote for in America anymore is the primaries, and once those are over, you could vote for your team, you know, if you want to be a team player, or maybe the person you voted in the primary got in, but or you could not, because to me it's like, this election doesn't really matter, to be honest. Like this, again, we're talking specifically Illinois governor.
Some hate, man.
It doesn't fucking matter, cause it's. I was talking this. I ran into this girl at a show. She worked for DSA or whatever, volunteered for them. You know, like Democratic Socialists of America in Illinois, in Cook County. So I was like, can I be honest with you? Am I just being like a fucking, you know, like you're probably, you're maybe a little left of me, but you're probably politically similar-ish to me. You are very in this, so you know things I don't know. And again, like you're in politics. So again, like I feel like of anyone, your advice is going to be not to not vote. And so I said, am I being a pessimist? Am I being a fucking Scrooge? Or is this Illinois governor election like the shittiest election in election history? And she just laughed and she's like, yeah, it kind of is. And I was like, I don't want to vote for J.B. Pritzker. And she's like, yeah, you shouldn't. He's awful. And I was like, but Bruce Rauner's worse. She's like, totally worse. But I was like, because I told her, I'm like, I'm scared of another 4 years of just the total broken nonsense that is the Illinois state legislature with Bruce Rauner as the, you know, helm of it. Like that, it terrifies me. But what terrifies me more is that J.B. Pritzker is awful. And I just feel if he gets voted in, it'll be even harder to get him out. You know what I mean? Like we'll have to wait for him to leave or lose to, like, my point is I'd almost rather Rauner win, because then we have to suffer through 4 more years of him. But then we get probably another Democrat. Like Pritzker probably won't win again or run again, or if he runs again, he probably won't win because, you know, he failed last time. Like he's got that kind of knock on him. Either way, like I feel like it's almost better to punt and get a better candidate in 4 years than voting in this like barely not Bruce Rauner Democrat. And then because he's the incumbent, it's so tough to get an incumbent out. And now you're just stuck with this fucking turdy walrus for fucking whatever.
So why wouldn't you vote and then vote for Bruce Rauner?
Because I don't want to vote for Bruce Rauner.
Yeah.
Because like that just
That
feels
feels
like
like
morally
morally
irresponsible. So
yeah.
that's my point. Here's the point, right? If you flip a coin, what does that mean? It means you don't care, right? You want pizza or Thai food? I like both. Flip a coin, and you know, like both sound good enough. You know, that's even a decision that sounds kind of good. But you know, like that idea, like I'll be happy in certain ways either way. Now, this is a way more gross version of that, but it's like I said, like I can see, even though I don't want Bruce Rauner to be governor, I can see benefits of him winning. Meaning, in 4 years, it could get better, and I could see benefits of Pritzker winning, which is he's the Democrat, at least that's marginally and more fucking negligible, let's use that word again, it's negligibly better than Bruce Rauner winning. So to me, it's really a coin flip. So that's why people are like, well, if you don't vote, then you don't care. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm not voting, because I really don't care.
No, I think just hearing you say that, I think it's that you do care. I think that it's, you want, you're so because you care so much, you're so disappointed that these are our candidates that you're like, I'm not going to participate in this and encourage this to continue, because it is, I mean, a vote in this. You are voting that like, okay, we like this the way this is going.
That's why for me,
You know, and I feel
yeah.
that's very different from. I mean, I feel like sometimes I vote with more ignorance, but I vote, so I'm like, oh, I did it. You
Right.
know.
Well, so like a lot of these countries have like runoff elections.
I
So
did
oh man, that's the first time you're ever gonna get hate mail.
I
It's usually me. Um, that's Jackie's character called Bucket of Retards. So I just remember like, what was I gonna say? Oh, some countries, you know, like they do the thing where like they run a lot of candidates. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a strict 2-party system as much as the U.S. So they run like you know, like going for like president or whatever, like or do, like you know. So it's like I think because the election just happened in Brazil, and I think it went this way where it's like if a candidate gets over a certain percentage, they win. But if no candidate gets above that percentage, then the top 2 candidates go into a runoff. You know what I mean? And so I think we had that with mayor in Chicago a few years ago. I'm like pretty ignorant to like a lot of these things because like you know there's so many like different ways different cities and states do it. But I think that's how we got Chewy versus Rahm Emanuel a few years ago. Was that there was a bunch of candidates for mayor. They were the top 2, and neither one got like I think above 50%. So then there's a runoff. But for me, for stuff like president or stuff like governor, to kind of like remedy that, to kind of break like 2-party fucking quagmire, like all you have to do instead of like trying to champion a third party, which will never fucking happen in this country, I would love for people like me, if you want to get people like me out of the poll, it should be Bruce Rauner versus J.B. Pritzker versus none of the above.
And
if
start from scratch.
If none of the above reaches like a certain peak or wins outright or whatever, then yeah, we got to start it. We got to two new people.
Especially because it's not like, but we need someone to fill this position. It's like, well, we need a budget, and we've been operating without that.
Also, then that's fine. Like then that's my
2 years.
point. That's more motivation because it's like my point is Bruce Rauner would then still be in governor or while we wait for the another. And to me, there could be a shorter timetable. Like, all right, then you need 2 new people, and we're doing the election again in a month. Why? I mean, the idea that we need 2 years to campaign is such a new notion. You know what I mean? Like,
it's crazy.
We could do another election in a month. All right, guess 2 new people. Do a debate in 2 weeks. Do the election in 2 more weeks. Run your ads during that whole month. All right. And plus, if that was the way things went, parties would have people, you know, lined up in the batter's box ready to go. So the turnaround time is totally manageable. But yeah.
And then I just feel like there's less time to strategize some sort of awful, like, okay, 2 days before the election, we're going to push this out, this
so
story about the person.
The system's
I
too
know.
fucked up. I choose to not participate in it.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I mean, I get it. I feel like.
So you're gonna vote though.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'll vote for governor.
Do you just skip stuff on the ballot sometimes?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's a bunch of judges up, I know, in Cook County.
Yeah, I skip a lot of stuff actually, especially when I feel ignorant about it. Like if I don't know, that's why I love voting by mail, is that I can like research while I got a fucking life, you know, and moreover, because of all the like tactics that they use, I'm like, I don't want to get like brainwashed by something dumb last minute, you know. God, it's just a minefield of like potential pulling the wool over your eyes to get you to vote for them. So not that my research 20 minutes before I vote is going to fix that, but I feel like I know what publications I trust and who I want to like see, like what are they talking about? Why would they recommend that guy? Why would they do this? What is the issue? You know, I'll usually look up one opposing thing just to be like to understand, and if that seems urgent, I'll like look into it, and then if I'm like, okay, this sounds awful all around, I just won't vote for something. I don't know if that's whatever. I'm doing my fucking duty.
Good for you.
But I get it, and I feel like I've always been in the camp of like, no, you have to vote. Like I'm so appalled that you don't vote. Like I've never liked that about you, but I get it. And even more, it's funny because I feel like I've changed from I feel like when 2016 happened and Trump was elected, I was like, you should have fucking voted. Like, we needed your vote. But in that time, I've just, you know, learning about how it all works. It's like, yeah, and nothing's going to change unless we stop. Yes, by voting, okay, cool. Yeah, we could get better people in. But if these are the people that we are selecting to play for our team, right? Like, why would I keep participating in it? Like, it does feel like it's not
Our choices keep getting worse and worse.
right.
No matter
but
what
like,
side
but not
of the spectrum
participating
you're
in
on.
it is like a way to say peacefully, like peacefully protest of like, I'm not fucking playing this game. This is, you all suck.
Yeah.
Also, maybe I'll run for president.
That's how I feel. I feel like me not voting is a vote. You know what I mean? Because I register everywhere I go for two reasons. Because if something comes up that I want to vote on, I'll be registered so I can do it. And B, because to me, like I said, when they do those stats every year, like you know, this age group didn't vote, or like these many people were registered but didn't show up, like that's my vote. It's like you said, that is my vote. That stat is my vote. That's my stat saying, like, again, do better. That's my point. It's like, you know, like
it is funny we never look at that, like, or we. I feel like the general like narrative is like people who don't vote, they've either been pushed out, they haven't been allowed to vote, or they don't know how to vote, or they're idiot assholes who don't know that they're hurting everybody else.
Because you know
what I mean? It's one of those three things.
You know who's talking about voting? It's fucking politicians. It's fucking news media in the political sphere, and it's fucking just vote nerds, political nerds just on like a private citizen level, right? So these are all people that thinks politics is fucking life, right? They're just Marvel nerds for this even nerdier fucking thing of like their fucking congressmen. Like they like their congressmen like some people like the fucking Flash, which is just like just like the nerdiest, awfulest people in any society. They act like, but it's about laws and it matters. It doesn't matter, motherfucker. It's theater. They're just doing it fucking live, right? But it's the same bullshit. Everything's already bought and paid for. Everyone in there knows the way the story's going except you. That's why you think you have a choice. But even beyond that cynicism, that's the fucking point, Jackie, is it's all politicians or people directly below them that bow to them. So the point is, when you say like, they'll blame it on you, the voter who's disenfranchised by the system. You know what I mean? Like when Hillary doesn't win, they say, you need to get out and vote or this will happen. They never look upward and go like, we need a candidate that makes people go out and vote. Like, we need a candidate that excites people to get out to the polls. Do you understand? Like, but they never look up. They always blame the vote. Like, that's the messaging every year. It's all these ads, all these stories, all these catch lines, all these hashtags, all these jokes, all these whatever about getting out and vote. Go vote in the midterms. Go vote in the midterms. But it's never ads. It's never PSAs. It's never fucking Daily Show pieces looking upward and going like, hey, Democratic Party, you fucked the fucking pooch in 2016. In 2 years, can you please just summon the will to create a candidate that will excite people to go out and vote? Can you do that? Because the reason your candidates are losing are your fault. It's this idea that people forget or don't care. Like, that's the idea that people like, if only there were ads, I forgot that today was voting day. Or if only I wasn't so lazy, can you give me a motivational speech to get me off my couch? No one's doing it. No one's forgetting. No one's too lazy. It's not too hard. Even this, I think voter suppression is a real tactic, but it's not a real hurdle. You can get an ID. You can check the voter, rolls. You can do all that stuff. None of that stuff's getting in the way of people voting. You know what's getting in the way of people voting? No one worth voting for. That is definitely a big part of it, and it's never mentioned. Yeah. It's our fault as the voter for not doing their little bidding and getting out there and casting a vote for someone that doesn't deserve it. Mm-hmm. So fuck them. That's what I said. That's my vote. Fuck you. You fucking just uncharismatic, uncaring.
Did you call him a walrus turd?
Yeah, I think a turd walrus.
Turdy walrus.
Turdy walrus. The implication there was he looks like a walrus but smells like poo. Something like that. All right, topic 2.
You know what I think is funny? Wait, just one more thing.
Go ahead.
So for our listeners who don't live in Illinois, there's been this J.B. Pritzker. He is the Democratic candidate for governor, and they've had this ad running for months now, and it's him. It's supposed to be like, oh, look, we caught J.B. just walking into a meeting. Okay, we've got him in the parking lot. Here we go. JB, we're gonna ask you a few quick questions. And it's just this girl like throwing him softball questions, and he answers them. And like it's like, you know, when do you wake up in the morning or something?
Yeah.
And like these stupid like listicle BuzzFeed style questions. And like the funniest one is what oh god, what did she say? Like springtime or winter or something? It just is like, you know, I love spring. Or just something like that. It's so bad. And I was just like, this is the commercial you're gonna run for months. What is our society? Why are people responding to this? Why do you think this is a great, to show that he's just a normal guy in a vest just going to his meeting? He's like, I gotta go now, sorry. It's like, clearly this is staged. Like, no one is going to watch this and be like, oh, they caught him, and look how nice he was to answer her questions before he went into this meeting. And like, and then the questions are just the stupidest, like, yeah, again, just distracting softballs. It's so frustrating. JB, I want you to tell me, like, people are pissed at you for certain things. Talk about that. Tell me how you're going to fix this. Instead, you're telling me you like what season's your favorite.
It's awful.
What's your favorite fish?
Fuck anyone. This what fuck anyone that's always like, you know what's ruining politics is these negative ads, these attack ads. It's just turning if you've ever said that, fuck you for ruining fucking the most intolerable time of the year, political ad season. Because you know what's 10 times worse than a negative political attack ad? It's a positive political ad where it's just some fucking some fucking doofus just like kind of smooching on his fucking uncomfortable fucking Stockholm syndrome ridden wife. Right? While it's like, JB cares about this and this guy cares about this. And then he just some tagline like, I'm going to work for all Illinoisans and make them work for me. You know, or whatever
like,
the
no,
fuck.
Like zero substance.
I'd rather
like you're not like learning.
I'd rather like a nice, fun, interesting, creative, engaging negative attack ad where they're like, are you going to vote for candidate A? Did you know candidate A proposed legislation that would let grandmas have their throats slit in front of their grandchildren with absolutely no repercussions? Boom, that's what that candidate wants to happen. Is that what you want in your Illinois? Question mark, rubber stamp, like explosion. Like, that shit's fucking fun. It's like, I don't think that's true, but goddamn, it's making the in-between time between acts of Everybody Loves Raymond at least a little more interesting. So... yeah.
Oh, you're such an old man.
Negative attack exit.
No,
type.
it's more the Raymond. Everybody loves
okay.
Raymond.
It's a good show. All right, so topic number 2. I guess this is where politics and life meet. So, so as you know, probably most people, there was this journalist. He was a Saudi national, had permanent residence in the U.S.
Virginia.
Wrote for the what'd you say, Virginia?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, the U.S. It's part of the U.S.
Yeah, no, I just think that I just read that earlier. I was like, oh, Virginia.
So and he wrote for the Washington Post.
One of the good states.
He wrote for the Washington Post, and he went to Saudi Arabia recently. And while he was there, he was taken to the Turkish embassy consulate, and was just fucking murdered. A really grisly style murder. And I guess
tortured and dismembered. Murdered.
Yeah. So, and I guess he was like he was kind of like he wrote stuff that was kind of like against the Saudi regime and stuff like that.
He was what one would call a dissident.
A dissident. So anyway, you know, it's kind of created this tension about like, you know, the U.S. like as a governmental agency, like, should we implement sanctions? Should we enforce some sort of punishments against them to let them know that this behavior is not okay? Especially because they are kind of like one of our allies. And so I feel like it's like most people are saying, I agree.
We're giving them, right,
we're giving
arms
them weapons
to fucking destroy Yemen, which is suffering a famine right now because of the war.
Yeah, I mean, they're a dog shit country, but a lot of places
and we're
over
dog
there
shit
are.
for supporting that.
I mean, we've been dog shit. I mean,
for a long
we've
time.
been like the Pippin to dog shit for a long time.
The
like,
Pippin?
You know, like
What's
Jordan and Pippin. So.
You know what's funny? I was like, oh, like Charles Dickens?
Okay. So, So yeah, we've been the leading.
I'm the Pippin to your Jordan.
We've been like the league leader in assists to world atrocities for a
I
long
know,
time.
it's disgusting.
But at least we haven't perpetrated many. But we'll give you the weapons. We'll help you overthrow your government. What
We'll help
citizens?
starve
What
the
citizens
children.
you decide to torture? That's your game. But we'll send over some CIA agents to help you kill the leader. But anyway, so. But on a more just private citizen, private business aspect of it, so the WWE has a 10-year contract with Saudi Arabia to do events in their country. So
Like the wrestling?
the wrestling promotion.
Okay.
So they did a pay-per-view, Greatest Royal Rumble last year, and it went really well. And they have one scheduled coming up very soon. I don't know exactly.
Why Saudi Arabia?
I don't know, because they have a
The
bunch
big
of money
wrestling
to give to
fans?
Vince McMahon. That's what I mean. It's just a contract, So they were
Okay.
like, "We'll give you,
And they just film it there.
we'll give you $1 jillion, and you put on a pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia."
Okay.
So they're doing it, and so they have one coming up called Crown Jewel. Like I said, I forget when it
fucked
is
up.
exactly, but obviously there's been a lot of pressure to like cancel the event, to
Yeah.
break the contract, to kind of show like that's not chill.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it's not really chill to kill journalists.
Because they've, despite what Trump has said, they're like the FBI's getting evidence and like has evidence pretty much that
They
the
have
Crown
evidence.
Prince was part of it. He
Yeah.
ordered the murder of this
For sure.
Is he an American citizen?
He's a permanent resident.
Permanent resident.
So I guess
Okay.
green card holder. So anyways, so yeah. Long
It's
story
fucked
short,
up.
they're probably not going to cancel it. It's probably going to go ahead as
Oh,
planned,
really?
But
Have
I
they
don't
said
know,
that,
like,
or
what
what?
do you-
Have they given a reason, or like?
no, just like I think just
Yeah, I think they should pull out. I feel like this is highlight. I mean, I can see where before you think, oh, we're allies, because we were in some twisted capitalistic way. But like, I mean, I feel more so than just this journalist being brutally murdered. I think what it has highlighted is what they're doing in Yemen, right? Like, I think that if he died as a martyr, like that's what he died a martyr for. Is like, I really think it's exposed like. I mean, did you understand what all was happening in Yemen and our role in it? Like, I feel like
I knew that when Obama was president, we were droning it.
totally, but like 85% of Yemen is like starving right now, and like it's because of this war, right? And we are giving them arms to destroy Yemen. But basically, I feel like that has been the silver lining of this, is just highlighting like, yes, this murdered man, but like generations of Yemenis, right? Like, hey, can we talk about this? Figure this the fuck out.
We will not.
And I know it's so sad, because you were right. Like, I remember learning about that when Obama was president, and then I forgot about it, and now I'm like, oh yeah, Yemen.
You should wear. You should.
But I think
if you're
I
real
would,
quick, if people are interested, watch. Jeremy Scahill did a book, but if you're not a reader like me, there's a documentary under the same title. I don't remember what the title is. Something like Shadow Wars, maybe, or something. It's basically about the droning program, and they do a big chunk about the droning program in Yemen, which, yes, we are not officially at war with, but again, that has not been a hurdle in us bombing places in the past. So it is not in Yemen, and yeah, that was under Obama, so I'm sure it's continuing under Trump.
well, for sure, because what I think's fucked up about it is that because we don't call it a war, because the Constitution doesn't let the president have war powers. Like, that's a Congress thing, but because we're not calling it that, because we're sort of we've let that slide. They're just sort of doing
Also, the
it. They're doing it
Constitution
without
wasn't
us.
written when we had flying
Flying
robots.
fucking robots, yeah.
So
or like marketing agencies.
maybe we should stop giving so much of a fuck about what that thing says.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, but I feel like it had a point though, of like like the bigger population needs to decide if we go to war, or at least our representatives, than one person.
Yeah.
So both of us are right.
Good compromise.
But okay, so WWE.
Yeah, what do you think?
I won't be watching it. You know, like,
I mean,
what
were
was
you
your
going to?
Maybe. I don't know. I do think that's fucked up though. I feel like for right
I
now,
don't
yeah,
know.
like get out of there.
It's tough. It's whenever this kind of thing happens, it's like, there are still like, you just try. You don't want, right? Here's the thing, right? Especially with someone like Trump as president. But this has happened throughout American history, even in our short lives. There's always things where you're like, I don't want as a citizen to be associated with the acts of my country, full stop, right? I'm more complex than that. I'm more compassionate than that.
Yeah.
So I don't think that, I think it's so unfair to take the acts of, like, especially in a government like that, the acts of literally like one person or a few powerful people, as disgusting as those acts are, to take that as kind of like Saudi Arabia as a whole, meaning like the citizenship.
We're not. I'm just saying,
But,
like, you shouldn't take money from them.
Let me finish. I'm saying,
I'm
like,
gonna let you finish, but
I'm thinking
George Bush hates black people.
yeah, that's pretty good. I think I think that you know, there's still something about, I think the reason the Saudi government has been kind of paying for these Western things to, you know, because it's something like, again, they just want to be part of the international community, right? Because like the WWE, like they do events in Canada, right? They do events in Europe, in London. So like the idea, so like then them going to Saudi Arabia, like normalizes them as like a place to like take your concert or take your whatever, you know what I mean? You know, to pitch your
on the world tour,
right?
Yeah.
And that enhances the lives of the Saudi people who are not involved in the murder of this journalist. You know what I mean? And like, it's not, because you think about, like, isn't like Beyonce, didn't she like do like a private show for some like warmonger recently? Like a few years ago. Like, I feel like I've heard a lot of that. Like Christina Aguilera, I remember Beyonce was a big story, but like literally just doing private shows for these like awful dictators. Like, just here's $1 million, come perform at this guy's party. Whereas this WWE event, it's a WWE event. It's in a big arena. Those Saudi royal families there, you know, in their own section, and, you know, because they're just a ghoulish democracy, like, or sorry, and dictatorship, like all these places. So they're all there in their little special box, you know, like very archaic and shit. But it's also filled with tens of thousands of just citizens, you know, cheering for suplexes and having a good time and being part of the Western world and getting entertainment.
I don't know. Wouldn't you say though that like, they're just citizens, but they sort of have a responsibility to overthrow these people if they're being shitty. Same with us. I mean, with us, and we're getting distracted by.
Well, the point is I think there's
men in tights.
The point is, I'm not saying it's not a good. I'm not saying it would be a bad idea for the WWE to pull out or, you know, do some sort of other private citizen sanction, the same way you'd hope the government would do like a sanction, you know, just being like, hey, if stuff's like this is going to happen, like we'll be back next year, but we're going to cancel this year, or certain superstars aren't going to show up, you know, that we had planned. Like, it's going to be less of a show than you had planned because there needs to be some sort of punishment. It would
make a big statement.
It would make a big statement, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to do. I'm just saying, to me, because of the other benefits and the other just, you know, just everyday Saudi citizen involved, I'm not appalled by the idea of going forward, and I can see like some merit in that from that viewpoint, if that makes sense. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that I'm not using it as a full counterpoint, just as like information that I think is important.
I guess here's how I feel. I love that you think like that, Justin, but I would have to disagree because I think that because they live in a dictatorship, those tens of thousands of people are not getting accurate information about, you know, just I mean, why do you think that journalist worked from America as a distant journalist? Like, their information resources are not, it's not a democratic sort of like, I don't mean like democracy, but like a democrat, that act of like, here's freedom of information, get your information, right? So I feel like it would be powerful for the WWE to say, hey, we're not doing this, and we're especially sorry to these normal fans who just want to come out and see this shit, but like, here's what your leaders did. And I think that would be such a statement. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would mean, it could be really powerful for getting them to, but like, who knows? We know what America's doing, and we fucking watch it.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Do you know what I'm saying though? Does that make sense?
I think it should. Yes, that all makes sense. And I think the other reason why I can't fault WWE too much is like,
no, I don't fault them.
Is like their event is coming up very soon, so they obviously have a lot of working parts in place to just grind it to a halt. I think it'd be different if, like, say the event was coming up next June and they're like, what are you going to do in 6 months or 8 months? You know what I mean? Like, that they could maybe figure out something, a way to cancel it or punish them or something. But it's like, is about to happen. You know what I mean? So it's like I could see them like I could see that as just a realistic, just a very brass tacks reason why you can't just cancel the event. You know what I'm saying?
And
So
maybe maybe that's a moment where like they don't cancel it, but the a famous wrestler says I'm not going there.
well, I
you know,
think
or
more
like just
so
some
just
sort of
do
protest.
it. Do the event in full. Just do the fucking event in full, no change. But like we just said at the beginning of this topic, it's a 10-year contract. Maybe say, hey man, you got to change or we're not coming the next 8 years. You know what I mean? Like they still have things to hang over the Saudis' heads that they could use as punishment if they wanted to. So I don't think canceling this one event that's happening in like a month, it doesn't really move the needle for me whether they do it or not. But if I would respect them way more as a company if they did use those 8 years they had left to make a statement or at least threaten like, okay, like no more, or like there's going to be some form of punishment. We're going to cut this contract down, or there's going to be a change. This is fucked up. Like, I just don't think this event necessarily needs to be like my full opinion on the WWE's actions. Plus, I think it would be interesting to see if there's because like, who's like the fucking front man for fucking Pink Floyd? What's his name?
You asked me too fast.
Google it. But didn't he? I think he's the one that started. So there's like a big. Yeah, are you Googling it now?
Yeah, just a minute.
Once I hear the name, he's like touring as a solo act now. I heard the live show's great. We should go if it ever comes. I hear tickets are like $200, but it's just
Roger Waters.
Yeah, that sounds right. Does that sound right?
Did he die?
Yeah, he has to still be alive. Roger Waters. Sounds wrong. Who?
Pink Floyd, lead singer Pink Floyd, Roger Waters.
Maybe that's it. He's doing like his solo show. I hear it's amazing. I hear it's like expensive tickets, but it's like
oh yeah, he's alive.
this like spectacle that's like worth every penny. Like it's just this like light show and like all these like
oh, he's so handsome.
big. Well, can I see a picture of him?
Oh yeah, he divides Brazil. Is that what you're gonna talk about?
Divides Brazil.
Oh.
No, I think he started like a band. Like I think that's him. So I think him. Google this. Fact check this.
Okay.
Right your computer. I think he started a group. Like he was like the leader of it, but then he recruited other artists to basically like sign a petition that they wouldn't perform in Israel. That was like a big thing because he was basically saying like their aggression against Palestine. It's gross, and Israel's a place that like a lot of artists, like a lot of like big like headlining artists, like they'll put on their world tour map. And he's like, we should cut that out until like they stop their aggression against Israel. Or I think like I think on like
yeah, you're right.
okay, so and I think on like a domestic scale this worked too. Like remember when North Carolina did their bathroom bill and then like Bruce Springsteen and a bunch of artists canceled their shows in North Carolina? You remember?
What was that? I'm sorry. Say
North Carolina had their bathroom bill, and
yeah.
then Bruce Springsteen and a bunch of people said, well, we're canceling our North Carolina dates. And it affected, like, they softened on that language in the bill. I don't remember if they overturned the bill, but they had, like, because they're basically going to, like, lose all this, like, revenue, right? And, like, their citizens were obviously mad. So they're like, hey, if that law is going to, like, make my ticket that I paid $8 for invalid, fuck you, change the law.
Yeah.
I don't care about the law that much. You know what I mean? Like, it put pressure. So to me, if the WWE goes ahead and does their event, I'm not that mad about it, to be honest. But I would love to see maybe them and some other artists get together, or maybe some other artists, cancel their contracts and try to get WWE on board. Like, hey, we took the first step. You should join along and make this kind of like, like I said, like 2-year ban on performing in Saudi Arabia, until they fix their shit or apologize or like, some justice for this fucking poor reporter. I would like to see that, maybe some organized effort. But, singling out an individual show like this, when other performers like even like Beyonce, who can do no wrong, has done similar things, going to shitty nations and doing private shows, not even like for the people. Like, I think it's fucked up to single out WWE and be like, this event you had planned for a long time that's happening in a month, cancel it now or you're evil. I'd like to see more from them, but this specific event, it doesn't move my needle either way, whether it gets done or not.
President of Kazakhstan paid $3 million for a private show.
Yeah, don't you think that's more gross?
Yeah, totally.
And does anyone talk about her besides the fact that she's
I don't know if that's
doing
like,
no wrong?
Hold on.
You don't think that's? I mean, that's gross.
I mean, it's gross, but I'm just saying I didn't like read the whole story, so I don't know if that's just like something that showed up in search results. So
It's true though, because I know I've heard it from like mainstream stuff.
no,
Oh, it's not true.
that was for Kanye West.
She did something too, though.
It's Hold on.
It doesn't matter. We need to get into topic 3. The point is like, I just think it's just kind of like short-sighted, and it's just so our media landscape now and social landscape to just like be like, Saudi Arabia, that's in the news, that's trending. Who's going there in the next month? WWE, are you gonna cancel? Or you're not gonna cancel? You're not gonna cancel. You're bad, and then we're just gonna follow the next shiny thing, which is gonna be like, some new sex scandal or some new something. So I just think it's wrong to just put WWE in the crosshairs. But like I said, I think they should do something because they're in a long-term relationship with this country that's showing that they're really not ready to move into the modern world if this is the kind of bullshit they're still doing to journalists. So I hope that there's some action. Hopefully a group of artists, I think that would send a bigger statement. And I think once... Because, and again, fair enough to the WWE. They're like, look, if everyone else is still going to go there and perform, so are we. I think that's fair of them. It's cold, but it's fair. So I would have less respect for WWE if a bunch of artists got together and went, hey, we're saying no performing in Saudi Arabia, that we're signing a petition. Then if the WWE didn't get on board with that, I would hold them more responsible. So I would just give this some time. But yeah, I don't have beef with that event per se in the short term. All right, take us into topic 3.
Okay, topic 3. I read The Atlantic. I love it. It's one of my favorite magazines, and they just had a story. It's titled "Why the Left is So Afraid of Jordan Peterson." Hold on, let me find that. Or why the left is so afraid of Jordan Peterson. The Canadian psychology professor's stardom as evidence that leftism is on the decline and deeply vulnerable. Written by Caitlin Flanagan too. Prominent feminist, but I really have been enjoying listening to Jordan Peterson lectures lately. I got his book, The Antidote to Chaos. They're sort of answered, just like I'll post a link on my Twitter so you guys can read it. You should read the article. But why he's so reviled is he sort of is this like, how do they describe it? Like a kryptonite to identity politics. And that's sort of what the left is leaning on right now. And so they don't like that. But I think that's what we are all craving and why he is so fucking popular right now. Not just with the right, he's creeping over into people like you and me, where what he's saying makes a lot of sense. And I mean, even if it doesn't, like, I'm allowed to fucking listen to someone who disagrees with me talk it out in an intelligent forum. I've been feeling more and more pushed away by the left as well, in the same reasons I am not a Republican, and like this is one of them. Just like, I'm like bad if I listen to someone who I disagree with talk. This is fucked up. Anyway, so this is supposed to be the fun topic. But I think you like listen to it. He has the one lecture I think is really good. It's like an hour, maybe 2 hours long, and it's in Iceland. And he's like doing a tour, and like he just there's some stuff where I'm like, and ironically enough, it's the one that the like points the crowd cheers about that I'm like, I don't know, we'll see. I'm not sure about that, where he says the patriarchy is not real.
Yeah.
Things like that where I'm like, I think that's wrong. But everything else you're saying is really interesting and like cool. I would like to talk. I think it's just great to have this sort of conversation, and sort of like what you were saying with those like the JB Pritzker ads where it's like, we're just going to do this nice thing so everyone's emotional well-being is protected. I can't do that anymore. I'm sick of that stuff. And like to have someone who seems like he's talking about, and you and I have talked about this too. Like I feel like my politics and like belief in social things has not changed since getting sober, but what I need to hear has changed. And someone like Jordan Peterson, he's a psychologist. It's a lot of self-help sort of language, but through a very logical lens. And, like his book is The 12 Rules. Number 1 is stand up straight with your shoulders back. Okay. And people are like, oh, it's a threatening move. And he's like, no, it's not. I don't mean it as like a power stance. It's more just like, I remember this quote because it like honestly made me sort of tear up. He said, when you stand up with your shoulders back, you are telling yourself metaphysically stand the hell up with courage and take it. It's not about fighting. It's about being strong enough to take it, to take what the world is throwing at you. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm like crying because that's so, I need to hear that. I need reminded daily to keep fucking fighting. And fighting doesn't mean fighting. It means being strong enough to hold myself through this, right? Beautiful. I love that. To me is speaking more to me than being a victim, right? And like which is not what the left is perpetuating. It's more nuanced than that. It's more complex. I don't want to like be an alt-righty who's like, they're victims, but like that's the way it makes me feel when I think about it in terms of like my just trying to survive in the world, right? Like I get that, and I'm so thankful that side has helped me recognize how I have been a victim and put a voice to it and like fight to fix that for not just me but other people that these systems have failed. But I like a little bit of this too, of like, stand the fuck up, Jackie. You know what I mean? Like it's in a different way, and that's okay, right? So my fucking fun question is this. Is there a thinker or like a philosopher or someone that you like that people you tend to agree with politically hate? So for example, like I'm very progressive, I'm a lefty, the left hates Jordan Peterson. But I think maybe that's a simplification of it too, because I'm on the left, but I like what he said. I like listening to him. I don't like everything he says, but like, hey, I want to listen to him talk more. So anyway, do you have anybody like that?
Yeah. Joe Rogan, baby.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
a
I
good
know
one.
like
That's a good
and a
pick.
credit to him, and something that I think like a lot of people kind of misjudge him on is, I mean, he has a podcast where he brings on a lot of people and a lot of different people from like not even just different walks of life, but different political philosophies and just like everything. Like sometimes it's just a comedian being funny. Sometimes it's like a bow hunter. Sometimes it is like a philosopher, or sometimes it is like a political pundit or whatever. But yeah, either way, like, so I don't think he even has like a lot of strong stances. He's kind of just like a curious mind.
Yeah.
So I think even in that he's just like even like I said, like just I don't know. Like, so that's the thing is like, it's just,
I tried to feel like, I didn't know he was so smart, because he just seems
I don't know.
bro-y.
I just like him. I just like him a lot, and I feel it's less that he's like thought of as like alt-righty or anything. It's more just like, yeah, people are like, oh, you listen to Joe Rogan podcast? All right, brah. It's like, no, it's like,
He's
interesting.
actually really, yeah.
And it's like
he's curious. Yeah.
I like his podcast, meaning like I like the people on it, or I like the
he
philosophy.
asks great questions.
I like the philosophy of bringing different types of people on, and like, like not, and having that kind of very like loose format for your podcast where it's like 3 hours and it can be a comedian, a bow hunter, or a fucking politician or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it could be a lot of different types of folk. So I like that idea, and I like him doing it. But like, yeah, I think people just see the Fear Factor guy, the UFC guy, and they just chalk you up as kind of like an unintellectual for liking him.
A Ryan Seacresty take, right?
And
well,
I don't know. I'm not Ryan Seacresty, but I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird. It feels like because it's, to me, there's things that are like people might think you're one type of political, like one people you might say like, I like Jordan Peterson, and they might think you're more conservative than you are, or mislabel him as conservative or whatever. But I think a different version of your question, but it's still the same question, is like, I don't know if I have someone like that. I probably do, because like, I do like to like listen to like a lot of different things, like even if I don't necessarily like agree with them. But I do think there's also these people that like almost like, to fucking pretentious people, like almost like, or people that just don't even realize they're being pretentious. Like there's also certain things that like almost invalidate you. And that's why I feel like I can be talking intelligently to someone, and I'll say like, oh yeah, I was actually like, I heard this thing on Joe Rogan's podcast, and they kind of just give you this look like, oh, he's a Joe Rogan podcast guy. Fuck this. I don't need to listen to this guy anymore. It's like, okay, cool. I don't know.
Right.
So
no, and I feel like that is, honestly, I do that sometimes, and that's totally unfair. I feel like I'm sort of learning to like break that habit of like, oh, okay, because of my own, I don't want people to judge me for like, or to assume my politics because I like listening to, I think Jordan Peterson is interesting. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a fucking Nazi alt-right, and neither is he. That's what, like, we just, it's so fucked up, this really extreme divisions we've made in the sand. But so you listen to Joe Rogan and I listen to him by proxy. I think I love listening to his podcast.
Yeah.
And I never thought I would say that because I judged him. I just thought he was kind of bro-y. That was it. But like, he is super progressive. And like you said, so curious. And even in places where he doesn't understand something or has questions, or, you know, he'll ask the question. He asks questions. He follows through. The guests. Like, he has people that, on all sides of the spectrum, and he asks real questions. He like asks them hard questions, but not like pandering questions. Like, not, you can tell everything he's saying is just his thought process, not like, and now this side of my audience would want me to ask you this.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he's just interesting. Again, like, we've lost sight of this. You can just talk about things. You don't have to read from the script of either side. And that has felt so overwhelming. And I hadn't felt that until Trump became president from my side. Do you know what I mean?
I feel also
like that has really gotten worse.
We were talking to some friends about different people we listen to and kind of like, you know, the polarization of like discussion. And to me, I'm like, I think at minimum, even if you don't want to be open-minded, which you should find people a little bit different from you. You can be either direction. You can find people more left of you if you're on the left. And people more right of you. And doesn't mean you have to find super right-wing people, just maybe people a little more, just to see. But also, at minimum, you should be listening to the other side, because people just ignore it. You should be listening to it to sharpen your thoughts, to kind of have these intellectual discussions. Like, he's saying that, I know that's wrong. Why is that wrong? Yeah, it's because of this. That's for sure bullshit. Okay, cool. Like, just check. So, and like, find someone, like, again, like, I just appreciate kind of like some sort of like coherence, something that feels thought out, even if I disagree with it, or even maybe disagree with the seeds that form that thought, but like, they're presenting it in a way that feels intellectually honest. That's probably the best way to put it. Intellectually honest. Like, they are probably trying to convert people, they are probably talking to a base, but like, it feels that there's a good grain of intellectual honesty to them. So that's someone, like, I was just saying, like, again, if we're talking about like, in this climate, even after my explanation that I'm about to give you, I could still see people being like, huh? Like, I listen to a lot of Ben Shapiro stuff. Now, again, I feel even if I say the thing I'm about to say, people will still be like, meh, meh, meh. I probably disagree with him like 95% of the time. 90, like almost fully disagree with him. And I would say the stuff I agree with him on is probably the stuff that most of his followers don't like. They're probably the things his followers are like, I like that Ben Shapiro, except for those things. It's kind of a little too liberal on those things. Right. So but my point is like, but I listen to a guy like that because I feel like his arguments are always very clear, feel intellectually honest to him. So like, it makes me go like, no, I don't think that, but why don't I? Because of this. If I was talking to him, I'd say this, I'd bring up this fact, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So yeah. So again, like, I don't know him, so I think even saying something like I don't like Ben Shapiro is kind of just goofy to say anyways. It may be unfair to him, but like, yeah, I don't agree with Ben Shapiro almost universally. But I listen to him a decent amount because like, even if it's just to sharpen your viewpoints, you should listen to dissenting stuff. So
right. And I feel like we're in such a mindfulness movement culturally, right? And we're all about mindfulness and staying on top of why you feel the way you do. I feel like this is part of that, but like intellectually, like, why do you think the way you do? That means getting in touch with all sides and thinking about it, right? Like, why do I think that's wrong. It's not like they changed my mind now. Like, why do I think that's wrong? And what is he saying that like I could, again, it's like bringing some humanity to the other side too, the side that you disagree with, right? Like, what was the other thing I was going to say? Anyway, I just feel like that mindfulness aspect can apply to this intellectual query. And but like internally, like why do you think it's exactly what you're saying? And furthermore, just that thinking, mindfulness teaches you to like, hey, every feeling you have isn't real. Like you can just say thank you for showing up for me, get the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like anger, like you can let go of that. You can, I feel like we're culturally hungry to like master our emotions, and there's movements to get that started for people, and I think people are very interested in it. It's very hip, right? I feel like we should apply that to intellectualism and just talking to each other, listening to other people who we might disagree with, just to hear, like, so we even have something to like ammo, so we know what we're coming up against, right?
Yeah.
If you disagree, and remembering that, like, hey, it's the same thing works in your mind with your feelings of like, just because you heard this argument doesn't now mean you agree with it. Just the same way this emotion is passing through you doesn't mean it has to stay, right? Like, I feel like if we, it's frustrating. But I don't listen to Ben Shapiro. I do like Joe Rogan. Though my other ones were people you've introduced me to, because honestly, like, this is why I love you, is I think you are also very intellectually curious, and you listen to a lot of different people that I wouldn't listen to or read if you hadn't have brought them into my life. Joe Rogan is one of them, and Adam Carolla.
Oh yeah.
I really see. Okay, Howard Stern, you listen to. I don't like listening to him, but I do think he's a great interviewer.
So good.
But I think he's so fucking annoying because he makes it all about him. He's so needy. But I was like, oh, I can't pick Howard Stern because like I still just think he's kind of gross. But I will listen to him. I really enjoy listening to Adam Carolla, even though I had pegged him as like the gross one from the Man Show.
Yeah.
But I like listening to him. Again, and it's not because I agree with all this shit he says, but I think he's funny, and like the way he thinks about things is kind of refreshing. It's just a refreshing way to think about it. And I also love, he is the complete opposite of me as a person as far as like experience and identity, right? Like if we're talking about identity politics, he is a man from California. Maybe we both sort of grew up like, you had to work for what we have, but like everything else is pretty much different. And I love hearing of him talk. Like, I think that his experiences are super interesting. The way he talks about them is really interesting. And that's cool. This is another human I want to, like, listen to. And even though we're so different, there are strains of, like, oh, yeah, I see this human here. Because, like, we're similar.
I don't even fully agree with everything he says. But, yeah,
right.
I just like him.
I like him, too. I think he's funny. Oh, and my last one was going to be also you introduced me to him. And I could see why I don't know if he's so defensible, but it's Patrice O'Neill.
Oh, he's so good. So good.
Oh, he's vile. He's so, like, not feminist, but it's hilarious. I think he's so funny. And what comedians have is this, like, the beauty of comedians in our society, and it's been this way since jesters, making fun of the king, is they are the kind of people who aren't afraid to say things that have some sort of nugget of truth in them. Not always, but like that are not afraid to take the heat that comes with saying something not popular.
Yeah.
And to do it in a way that is funny is even harder. And so, I don't know, just the stuff he says, again, I don't agree with any of it, but I think it's hilarious and there's truth to it. And like, just from a human experience standpoint, right? Like about women, and I'm also like, it's a little deeper than that, Patrice, but like there's a time and a place for it. He's not leading my country. Like that's what's so insulting about Trump being president. Like, he's my fucking leader. Are you kidding? Patrice is just on a talk show making cultural conversation.
R.I.P.
I know, R.I.P. for real.
All right. Good topic.
Yeah, that was cool.
Close
I like
us out, baby.
Yeah, so follow me, Jackie Manti on Twitter, @Jackie_Manti. I will tweet out that Jordan Peterson link. I feel like I should read the story just to like read about why I think it's interesting why the left doesn't like him. I understand, and then just follow up on him if you're interested. JackieManti.com. Oh, I've got my book is up for sale from Gone Country. It's on Amazon. There's links to it on my website that you can click through. I also have a new page with my artwork from Gone Country and a few extra pieces that you can look through if you've been interested in what that artwork looked like. You couldn't make it to the show. Definitely check it out. I think it's cool. I'm still trying to figure out how to get it all up there, but you can start clicking through. It's super cool. I'd love it if you looked at it. And I'm on Instagram at Jackie Manti. Send me those. What do I get? Tit pics?
Tit pics?
I want some dick pics too. No, never mind.
Yeah,
Never
whoa.
mind. Actually, don't.
You just ruined the
edit that
internet
out.
for yourself.
Yeah.
No, I'm keeping that
Jackie
in.
at JackieManti.com. Justin, you can find him at Twitter at Justin Golak, JustinGolak.com. You can email him your dick pics. Please send him the dick pics. Justin at JustinGolak.com. What you got coming up, boo?
Yeah, I got a few shows in Chicago. Just go to JustinGolak.com. Nothing specific to promote. Go to the upcoming shows tab.
Cool.
You got it.
And you guys can find all of our old content at FemComPod.com. Check out all of our past episodes and see all the good stuff at lowclass.com. That's LO-class.com.
Bye.
Bye.